So, have you ever been scrolling a large table only to find important column headers or data slides out of view just when you need it most? You can blame many things: the size of your Excel window, your zoom level, your font size, your laptop screen size, or your resolution. So what can you do about it? Well, it is possible to lock the most important rows and columns in view so they don't disappear when you scroll. On the View tab, go to Freeze Panes, and then freeze top row. Now when you scroll vertically, the column headers stay put. And if you go to freeze first column, it keeps the first one in view when you scroll horizontally. Either can be turned off simply by going to the drop-down and selecting Unfreeze Panes. The problem with what I just showed you is you can't freeze one after the other using those buttons. You either freeze the first row or the first column, but not both, and you can't have more than one column or one row frozen at once. If you select the second row and click on the Freeze Panes button, it does the same thing as Freeze Top Row. However, where this feature becomes most handy is when you have a case like I have here, where the employee ID column itself is a bit meaningless. The name column is necessary as well to make sense of what's beside it. I need to select column C because it's after the final one I want frozen. Then I go to the drop-down again and select Freeze Panes. The first two columns are now frozen, which makes horizontal scrolling far more convenient. However, I also need to freeze the top row again. Unfortunately, it means starting again. I'll click on Unfreeze Panes so everything resets. And this time I'll select C2 because this is one cell after the last column and row I want to freeze. Remember that, as it's easy to forget and you might end up selecting the wrong one. Now when I go to Freeze Panes, it does exactly as intended. The most important values are now always on display, whether I scroll vertically or horizontally. If you're using Excel tables, you can take advantage of a built-in feature that turns the column letters into headings when they go out of view. And just to give you a glimpse into the future, let's turn our attention to Excel for the web, because there's a new way to freeze panes. You don't need to use the ribbon to do it. Hover over the bottom part of the Select All box in the top left corner of your worksheet until a hand cursor appears. Click and drag the blue line down according to how many rows you want frozen. I only want the headers in this case. But for columns, it's the same principle, except you hover over the right part of the box, click and drag the line according to how many columns you want displayed. I want the first two, of course. And there we go. How cool is that? I'm sure this new way of freezing panes will come to the desktop version in due course. It's certainly better than the existing way.